So I think it was yesterday, maybe the day before, I don't remember. I made this melody. And then it continues. There's a little bit of variation going on from, one half to the other, but it's mostly the same thing. So I thought I would record myself adding drums. I think I want to start with a snare clap. So something like this. I think 2 and 4 is the way to go here, but let me double check and make sure. Yeah, I think that's good. Let's copy that over. I think having like a rim, there's a particular rim I've got in mind that I want to use. I think it's this one. I think I'm doing too much with the rim. I think because some of those places might be taken up by like a kick or an 808 later. I'm not sure. So let me just, for now, keep it simple and just copy it over every, what is that, 2 bars? And then anything that's not like a main snare clap sound or a main rim, I have a tendency of panning left to right. I think I'm hearing some open hats. So let's find some hats. That's a cool texture. Do the same thing. Let's keep it simple and just do like one every 2 bars, maybe every 4 bars. Let's do every 4 bars this time. Let's find another open hat. Do the same thing. And before I forget, let me add a crash for like the very beginning of the phrase. Okay, I like that. And I think I want it to hit a little bit harder, so let's increase the velocity. I want to slightly change it up in the second half here. I think I want to add a like a hi-hat. Except I think I want it to be a little bit slower. Actually, let me try what I do. I don't do this every single time, but oftentimes I like to take copy my pattern over. It's like 2 bars long. And then in the second half, try and flip it and see if it works. So flip horizontally. And that works. So let's copy that over. Okay, I think I want to add an 808 now. I want one with like a lot of distortion. Kind of like that, but that might be like the wrong kind or too much. That might be right. This is why there are memes about producers just clicking through thousands of sounds. It's because like we have like, I say we as though I'm talking for other people. I have like a certain texture in mind that I want to get, and like if I don't have that, I'm just going to click through to the next sound. So I end up clicking through hundreds if not thousands of sounds sometimes to, find a texture. I mean, I might be being a little bit hyperbolic, but you get the idea. All right, let's see what it sounds like. know if that's the correct place. Let me hear it with like the next 808 hitting, and I'll see. I kind of like it, but at the same time I kind of don't. Maybe I move this one up, so it'll be the same note as these. That kind of works. Maybe if I go down it might sound better. Yeah, that sounds cool. Alright, let's copy that over, keep it simple, don't need to change too much. I say that, we could change things slightly as we go, so maybe like the second time we do a little like one of these guys, like right before the like the main hit. Yeah, that's a cool way to get like some extra texture, variation, excitement, whatever you want to call it. Is just copy, like with an 808, copy the note over, like one space. In this case, it's two spaces because of the grid I have. But if you're on cell, go 2 spaces over, and then just pitch it up an octave. And then you probably want to reduce the velocity a bit because as you get higher pitch, it's gonna sound louder. But yeah, it can give you, and do that right before like a main hit that has already happened before, and it can give you some extra flavor, I guess is the word. I don't really know how else to describe it, but it's kind of cool. And then you could do the same thing and get kind of crazy with it. So let's copy that note over. And then let's make it like a little bit of a pattern. So we just want to keep hitting that note. This may sound terrible, and I may end up scrapping it completely, but let's see. That's kind of cool. Although, I may want to change the notes here so that they match. Yeah, that's better. And then we can leave this one kind of spacey. Oh, and by the way, what I just did was I hit Control A, Alt L, and that brings up the articulator menu. And if you have this all the way up, it will have the notes kind of go all the way until the next note, and then it'll stop right at the next note. So hit accept. And what that does is it prevents like the 808 at the end of the phrase from like ringing out, or any other time really. But oftentimes, like at the end of a phrase, if you have an 808 and it's not like this, it will continue to ring out if there's like other things happening in the playlist. So if I do this, see how it's still ringing out even after like this little clip part stopped? To prevent that, do what I just did. So you're gonna go into your menu for the 808s, and then just make sure that they are like stopping, you know, and they're not playing the entire note out, because that's what this means. This means that the entire sound is going to play out. So it'll play this entire sound. And so if you go up here and change the envelope settings to this and hit cut self, and then come to the note itself and make sure that it's not going to play the whole thing and it's going to stop at a certain point, it'll prevent that. So okay, now what I'm going to do is take all my sounds, put them on the mixer channel. Okay, so anything that is like not a main sound, I tend to separate. So my rim, my open hats, my crash, I tend to separate as well. And then my main sounds, I tend to merge a little bit. Sometimes I leave them alone, sometimes I merge them. I like to merge the hi-hat a little bit because I know that later on I'm going to take the higher frequencies and kind of push them out to the sides a little bit. So this is kind of preemptive. And same thing with the main snare clap. I like to have that a little bit in the, like sitting in the middle. Okay, so I have all of my melodies going to one place, and I've got an EQ on them where I'm mostly just cutting the like sub bass frequencies and the high highs. I've also got Maximus, which sometimes I turn off because I don't always need it. But mostly what I'm using Maximus here are the like separation tools, which I'm sure there's a more CPU efficient way of doing this. But I'm also cutting the lows. But yeah, sometimes this isn't even necessary because, like I said, I'm mostly just using this for like stereo separation and stuff. So I don't know. I might in the future think about replacing this with something else. So if you have like a suggestion for like stereo imaging or stereo separation or whatever you want to call it, that's like a stock plugin that can do this without using up a bunch of CPU, feel free to throw that in the comments. But yeah, I've got halftime, which I'm not currently using. Later on when I arrange, I'll throw in like an automation clip for halftime. I've got a patcher preset, which is doing a mid-side EQ. So I'm on the sides right now, and I'm ducking the sub-bass frequencies, or just making sure there aren't any. And then on the mids, I'm doing the same thing, but slightly more aggressively. I'm just pulling it in a little bit more. And I'm gonna limit it. Okay, let's take the rims, claps, snares, those kinds of sounds, and put them all together. Take all of the hats, put them together. Okay, so now we're gonna take all of our drum sounds and put them all together. Okay, so on my drum bus, I've got a bunch of effects. Sometimes I don't use all of these. Like in this case, I've got Maximus and the compressor turned off because I don't think I'm gonna need them. But in this case, I've got a hard clipper, and I'm kind of boosting and slightly distorting the quieter like sounds. And then I've also got all my drums going into a limiter, which is mostly just to make sure that I'm getting to the volume level that I want to get at. And then I'm going to do something called parallel compression, which basically means I'm going to take all of my drum sounds and put them to two different places. So I'm sending the signal to two different other buses. And then on this first one, I'm going to send it to the same place that the drum bus is going to. And then I'm going to mix it out by 30%. Okay, and then on the one that's being mixed out by 30%, that's my over compression signal. So drum over compression. And then this other one where both of those signals are going to, this is my send. Okay, so I've got my drums, it's being sent to two different places. And then on this one, it's being sent to the same place, but it's only going in, like only 30% of that signal is going through. And the reason that only 30% of that signal is going through is because I have overcompressed the signal here. And the idea is if you mix a little bit of that overcompressed signal with the original signal, it's going to help everything sound a little bit more like beefy, a little bit more like thick, hard-hitting, whatever you want to call it. So let's hear what it sounds like. Okay, so let's listen without the 30, it's only 30% of it, but let's listen without the overcompressed signal and with. So that's without, here's with. Yeah, so hopefully you can hear the difference there, but it just kind of makes everything a little bit louder, a little bit more present, a little bit harder hitting. Okay, and then for the purposes of this video, I think that's about as far as I'm going to take it. That's going to be about it. So if you have any questions about any part of this process or any of the, processes that I did on the Mixer channel, feel free to throw them in the comments. Or if you have any suggestions for future videos, feel free to throw that in the comments. But yeah, let's listen back to it.